So, only one student today. Alright, so grab your blue book and your folder. I said it right there for you. Okay, the blue book. Alright, wow, today we're going to talk about brakes, like we talked about last time. We're going to finish up tires Friday, but today we'll do this, okay? So we're going to go out in the shop. I'm going to show you all the components of the brake system. And then we're going to come back in. We'll talk about some definitions of the vocab words that we usually do in the start lesson. Important question I want you to ask yourself is, what is the most important safety feature on a vehicle? You can write that in your book for me. It'd be a lot easier. There's a lot of definitions, a lot of words up there. It's a lot easier to show you what they are first so you understand. So, I'm going to write all that stuff down then while I'm in the shop. I wrote the page number and most of the definitions up there. Whenever you get that written down, we'll go out in the shop and I'll show you what we're looking at. Yep. We're going to watch a fun video about brakes. Then you're going to change them.
Wait, is it like an option? Like if I like when someone's parents like fire trouble can bring it in.
Sure.
Because my mom sometimes she was wondering. She's having a little bit of problem with her brakes. So she was wondering.
That'd be great. Shame we couldn't do it today.
She kind of needs it today.
Yeah. No, you can do that. The great part about that is you can do the work for free. You know, have you ever done brakes? You know anyone that does brakes?
Like when it works on cars a lot.
Did you ever do brakes with him?
No.
No.
He said he's gonna have me. Now that I'm taking part of it, he said when he starts working on cars again this summer, he's gonna take me.
Good. Where's your work at? No, I mean like, where's he do the work at? Your garage or?
We have like a really big yard.
Okay.
At my dad's house, so he just does it in the yard.
Most, we call them backyard mechanics. They know how to do oil changes, rotate tires, and change brakes. That's what most backyard mechanics can do.
My dad does engine work.
Oh, good, good. Well, in the industry, we call them DIYers, do-it-yourselfers. Whenever you bring your car to a shop and it needs brakes, they say, oh, okay, I'll take it home and I'll do my own brakes. quiz you're gonna take later. It's just an identification quiz. The parts will be marked out there, you just have to match them up to the numbers, okay? Do you know what a technician loves to do, Colin? Make money. And what's the easiest way they can make money?
By the hour.
What are they doing now? What task? From what part of a car? What are we talking about? Brakes. Technician loves to do brakes. You know what my nickname was in the dealership I worked at? Gary the Brakes. Every car that came got brakes. That's not true, but I got a lot of brake jobs. That's the nickname me, Gary the Brakes. It is the easiest way you can make money. Pedal pulsation, yep. Good? Master cylinder and hydraulic fluid. Those are all the major components of a brake system. So let's go out in the shop and I'll show you what you're looking at, okay? Grab, no, I don't need that. Grab your glasses. All right, so start working on those definitions, then we'll talk about them, and I'll explain what they do. Definitions don't necessarily help you with what they actually do, so I'll explain what they do.
I got the brackets on. The one that's really fixed, it comes off.
On the fixed caliper setups,
Stay on.
fixed caliper setups, the rotor stays there, the caliper's fixed. Floating caliper brakes, take the caliper off, the rotor just falls off, there's nothing holding it on. Sliding disc brakes, you don't see very much, but they are out there. But fixed and floating are the two ones. Kyle, while you work on that, I want you to move over here in the middle. I want you to watch this short video, okay? It's another illustration of how brakes work.
Disc brakes can be used on all four wheels of a vehicle, or combined with disc brakes on the front wheels and drum brakes on the rear. When the brake pedal is depressed, a push rod transfers the force through a brake booster to a hydraulic master cylinder.
Okay, stop there. How the system works. First of all, hydraulic fluid is how you transfer energy from your foot to the brake. When you push down that brake pedal, what you're doing is you're transferring energy from your foot to the front of your brakes using hydraulic fluid. It's a way of transferring energy from your foot. That's all that is, okay? So you push down your brake pedal, okay? I'll go back a little bit. Years ago, back when cars were newer, there was no brake booster. So you had to manually push the fluid to the brakes. The only thing the brake booster does is give you it's called a brake booster. It helps you brake the car. It provides you with a a certain amount of force that pushes the fluid faster and harder without you actually having to manually brake the car. An example of manual brakes is going like a go-kart. A go-kart. You have to manually push the brakes in. Now that it's not a very heavy vehicle, but imagine a 4,000-pound vehicle trying to stop with your foot. Just you pushing on it. Okay, so how it works is you push the brake pedal, the booster helps you. The master cylinder is what sends the fluid to the front and to the rear. That's all a master cylinder does. It's like a valve that holds fluid and pushes fluid to the 4 different wheels. Okay, really simple. Booster helps you brake. Master cylinder sends the fluid to wherever it's going. Okay.
The master cylinder converts the force into hydraulic pressure, which is then transmitted via connecting pipes and hoses to one or more pistons at each brake caliper. The pistons operate on friction pads to provide a clamping force on a rotating flat disc that is attached to the wheel hub. This clamping tries to stop the rotation of the disc and the wheel. On non-driving wheels, the center of the brake disc or hub contains the wheel bearings. The hub can be part of the brake disc, or it can be a separate assembly between the wheel and hub with nuts or bolts. On driving wheels, the disc is mounted onto the driving axle and may be held in place by the wheel. On front-wheel drive vehicles, it can be mounted on the front hub and wheel bearing assembly. The brake caliper assembly is bolted to the vehicle axle housing or suspension. In most cases, the brake is positioned as close as possible to the wheel. Applying brakes can absorb a lot of vehicle energy, so friction between braking surfaces generates great heat.
Okay, keep working on definitions for now. So Kyle, here's a little, while you're doing that, here's just a little animation, how a brake system works. See a rotor spinning, and as I apply the brakes, fluid comes from your master cylinder. Okay, this is called a banjo bolt. This is your brake hose and a banjo bolt. There's a piston inside your caliper, and what that does is that presses against the brake pads. There's your rotor and brake pads. And when I release, spins again. The caliper releases, the piston releases because the fluid, the pressure is no longer there. And I apply the brakes again. That's how it works. Okay? There's probably 100 different kinds of disc brake setups. There's 4-wheel drive, there's imports, there's domestics. And each manufacturer and each year could be different, but the basics are all the same. So we're not going to deal with 4-wheel drive. I don't have one available to look at, but we'll do most. We'll do floating and fixed calipers. That'll give you the general idea of what it is. Okay, how to do it. So what's a brake pad?
Friction surfaces that convert motion to heat.
See, that's a definition, that's not what it is. A brake pad, just like they showed you on that. And what we saw out in the shop. This part right here is your brake pad. It's the metal, it's not really metal, it's a bunch of different kind of metals. And what that does is that clamps on your rotor. That's what a brake pad does. And that's what it is. It's also called brake lining. Your brake rotor, what's the definition of brake rotor? Yep, it's this disc right here. That's why it's called disc brakes. It's a rotating disc that is what the brake pads clamp to slow the vehicle. Your brake caliper is a piston that transfers the energy from your brake pedal onto the brake pad. There's a piston inside the caliper that presses against the brake pad. And I'll show you that when you go to change it, okay? Right here, this is the piston right here. No, that's not right. But this is a piston right here that as fluid comes into the caliper from the brake pedal, it presses against there, okay? Caliper mounting bracket, we talked about that, what that is. That holds the caliper in place, really simple. I already showed you what a fixed caliper brake looks like. That means the caliper's fixed. And floating calipers, they come off, and then the rotor just comes right off with them. There's no bracket. Disc brake wear indicators. There's two different types. Okay, and what they are is they are a signal to the driver that you need brakes. What is the problem with your brakes? And I'll show you them in the shop too. There's a metal one, okay? It's on the brake pad itself. When the brake pad gets too low, it starts to score the rotor and it makes like a whistling noise. Okay, well you know, or a squealing noise, you know the brake pad's bad. The brakes are getting low. So that would be a manual one. And then there's a digital one where there's some like higher end vehicles like BMWs, Mercedes, they have disc brake wear indicators. And basically it's a metal wire that goes into the brake pad and goes back to the dash. And there's a light on the dash. So when the brake pad gets low enough, the wire gets cut and leaves an open circuit, the light comes on. You don't see them very often anymore, but what's the accounting teacher's name? I forget her name. But I did brakes for her, and she had a BMW, and the brake wear indicator was broken, which means the brake, actually, someone just broke it, so I had to replace the brake pads. But if that wire is broken at any point in time, it's going to throw the light on. Rotor run out. It's better to illustrate that than explain it. So on a disc brake rotor, okay, pretend that's a rotor. Pretend that's a rotor, okay. It's supposed to be perfectly straight, okay? But sometimes you get, when metal heats up, it warps, okay? So sometimes the rotor changes. It's not perfectly straight anymore. So rotor run out is the change in the rotor. Pedal pulsation. An out of round rotor would cause that. So we check the run out on a rotor, A rotor that's not perfectly straight could cause pedal pulsation. Because it changes. The brake pads change. If it's on a round surface, here's your rotor, here's your wheel studs. If your brake pad is constant, right here, but the rotor's different here, different here, different here, as the brake pad comes around, it's going to be flat, then up, flat, then up, flat, then up. It's going to change, so your pedal's going to pulsate. Okay? That's how that works. We talked about the brake booster. What's the brake booster do? It assists you in braking. Okay? Master cylinder? What's master cylinder do? So I push the pedal down, the booster helps me push the hydraulic fluid, right? It just distributes the hydraulic fluid. And what does hydraulic fluid do? It's the transfer energy. It's what transfers the energy from your foot to the brakes. That's how your energy transfers there. All right, so let's go back on the shop. I'm going to show you how to change them and clean them and put them back together. Then we'll do our quiz, and then you'll do it on your own, by yourself. Scary, right? So, why is the most important safety feature on a vehicle the brakes?
You can't stop.
If you can't stop, you're gonna kill someone. So this is a really, really important part of the business. Not necessarily because you make money, but it is really important. Do you know some states don't have inspections? In Pennsylvania, you're required to have a little bit of brake pad on there, 2/32 of an inch of brake pad on there to pass inspection. Do you know that Florida and I think West Virginia don't have safety inspections? So that means that you could be driving with no brakes or not care, but you could kill someone. That's why I actually believe in the state inspection program, because it's not just to make money. It is to save lives. And as an inspection mechanic, like I am, I'm responsible for those brakes. If I inspect a car and for some reason I didn't do it ethically or honestly, and I passed a car that didn't have brakes, the state trooper is going to find out that I did the inspection. The state trooper is going to find out I did the inspection and come see me and say, why did you pass this vehicle? And then I get in trouble. So this is a really, really important part of the business. You want to do that by hand now?
Sure.
Bring it out of the shop. I'm going to show Kyle how to change brakes and clean them properly. Come on.
Let's go.
Welcome to my class. Jimmy.
This.
What class are you skipping right now?
I'm not skipping a class. I'm allowed to leave.
I know what I meant.
And I'm supposed to be in math. So this is like a dream come true. Skip math for auto.
Oh, you look.
What are you doing?
I wish I could skip math.
Because all they're doing is problems in the textbook now.
I wish I could skip math.
Too much. That's why auto 2 is good. You can get A lunch every time. Go learn your brakes. I already know how to do brakes for the most part. That's gonna sit on Dan's stuff. Because Dan ain't about that life.
Ready for the ship? Now, Kyle, if I may recommend, always having a service cart. Nearby, so you can grab your tools. So, the first thing we need to take off, you can do it around, make it easier for you too. You got to take off the caliper bolts in this one, which are a 12 millimeter. You're gonna do the other side as part of your test, okay? Righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? There we go.
Hold on, I'll check.
Okay. I always put my stuff right up here.
It's only 10:18. We have till 11:11.
All right, once those two are off, caliper, brake hose, banjo bolt. Okay? Set that up there. You can tie that up with a bungee cord if you want. You can sit there.
Drop something.
All right, this is a brake wear indicator. You see that metal piece there? When the brake pad reaches that point, it'll start to squeal. Okay? So what type of disc brake system is this? Fixed. Why?
Because it doesn't come off when you take the caliber off.
Right, the rotor doesn't come off. Okay. All right. So the next thing you gotta do is you gotta take these two bolts off. Right here. This will take the bracket off. Okay. And our 18 millimeters. Should use a small ratchet like this. What's that? I'll be right back. Gotta get a bigger ratchet. Once you break them loose, you don't really need this one anymore.
Nice shiny rotor. This tripod's messing up. There we go. That's better.
There's the power tools that you can use to do this a lot faster.
Impact gun.
But I have like really nice swivel sockets you can use, but I need you to learn how to do it by touch first. Because using an impact can be dangerous.
Can't you strip bolts easier?
You can strip bolts, snap them off.
Yeah, snap them off.
So you gotta learn the touch first, and that's something I really can't teach you. You just kind of have to learn it.
You gotta feel it out.
So that's that. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean everything up here, get all that brake dust out of there.
I feel like I should back the
Because
camera.
brake dust causes noise. We got our nice
Washy thing.
washing machine here. Take these clips off, clean them off. These clips actually hold the brake pads in place. They're really important. You're gonna get all the brake dust you can off.
So technically your life is on them clips.
No, not necessarily. The clips just, the brake pads sit in there and they keep them tight to where they're supposed to be. If they're loose, they could wear unevenly. You know, they could wear prematurely, wear in odd ways. That'll make it harder to brake.
He said tutorial.
Yeah, I'm not holding that. Rather do auto stuff. That's how to use the washing machine.
Yeah, we didn't use it.
We used it once. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
use
it
it
was
all
once
the time. I use it all the time now.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we're just Auto One is a lot different than it used to be.
Is it just like reusing the same order?
Yeah. Well, it filters.
Yeah. Dope.
So this is pretty clean here. Now we gotta clean this, get all the brake dust up in here.
Washing cars too, boy, now.
Because brake dust, what happens is it gets into the rotor and compacts there, and it can cause noise later. So whenever you're doing this, you just want to make sure you get all the brake dust off you can. You can't stop it all. Get the caliper off. All the brake dust out here. So here's the piston that I was talking about, Kyle. This is the piston that extends. Let it dry for a minute.
So Kyle, how's your day going?
Shut up.
That's not nice for the camera. I don't think it's pointed at the rotor anymore, it's pointed at you.
I'm pretty boring though, so.
Nah man, you're good. Me and Kyle go back like me and Bubba did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Also clean these brake pads off too.
I think I knew Bubba's longer. It's been a while.
I came in third grade.
Then yeah, I knew Bubba longer. Why doesn't Dan put his stuff in a locker like everybody else?
I don't know. Okay. No, we're not replacing these, we're just gonna put it back on.
Shouldn't.
Okay. Caliper goes back on first. And the bracket goes on. Okay? Just kind of finger tighten them in there. You gotta make sure you get them threaded properly.
I'll have to like fix this somehow.
It's not too hard. I just want to get more on the, like, what you guys are doing so you can hear it better.
Alright. Alright, you keep doing it until you get it right.
Yeah, man, practice makes perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Perfect.
You tighten your caliper bracket bolts down first.
Just got engine blocks chilling. You know,
You gotta make sure these are really tight.
that's what holds the bracket on.
Yep.
I can count it.
So you gotta make sure these are really, really tight. Okay? Another important part of this is these are your caliper pins. Okay, this is what your caliper attaches to. These have to be greased. Okay? If they freeze